I'll call the meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd like to remind people, it was brought to my attention that when we're on live camera, the sound doesn't come through if you're talking without pushing your buttons in. So, just a reminder. Roll call, please, Terry.
Brennan.
Here.
Chartrand.
Here.
Dahlhoff.
Here.
Hadway.
Here.
King.
Here.
Causer.
Here.
Mowerhand.
Here.
Ozier has been excused. Pepper.
Here.
Table.
Here, please stand, we'll have an invocation. Lord, you have called upon us to serve. Help us build confidence in the strengths you have given us. Let us use these talents to help those in need whenever possible. We pray for an end to the internal violence that plagues our country. We ask for your blessing upon those who have recently lost family members or loved ones. We now have a moment of silence for those recently departed, including your faithful servant, Winnie Newman. Amen. Pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone should have received a copy of their minutes for the July 7th and July 16th meetings. Does anyone have any corrections at this time? If not, the minutes stand approved. For the Rules and Legislation Committee, for Rule 6, Terry.
The Committee of the Rules and Legislation Committee has met. They recommend to waive the rules to act upon late resolutions.
Moved by Craig, second by Jerry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We go on to privilege of the floor. Does anyone have any comments for privilege of the floor at this time? I know we have Michelle Ledoux here who would like to make an introduction. She has an addition to her staff. Michelle, would you like the floor?
So I just wanted to introduce our new animal and plant science 4-H educator.
Hello, I'm Paulina Wrangley. I just relocated from the Canton area, and I look forward to a new job working as a 4-H educator and for plant and animal science.
Very good. Welcome, Pauline. Anyone else have anything for privilege of the floor? Say, Jackie, you just made it. Would you like any? I was looking to see if you'd like to promote the stand at the state fair this year. You're looking to always recruit and help, correct?
Yeah, we're also looking for volunteers for the state fair booth. If anybody's interested in volunteering for a time slot, please let me know. I'm glad to schedule you in.
I know Craig and myself took some time last year and it was very enjoyable, right, Craig?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep. Okay, we'll move on to presentations, communications, and notices. Terry?
There are none.
Report of all county officers and departments. Terry?
Reports. All legislators have received copies of the July 21st Highway Audit Report, the July 20 Solid Waste Audit Report, and the Treasurer's July Report. And that concludes reports.
Thank you, Terry. Reports of standing committees. Phil, Ways and Means, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you. All our departments reported their budgets are on track. Regarding the solar, Larson went back out for additional PPAs, and we should have them in the next, probably the next week. There'll be 2 or 3 more, so we'll have a better comparison on what to expect. We were very uncomfortable about getting only one, and that wasn't what we asked for, so they're correcting that for us. In the DSS parking lot, we've had some issues come up there. The biggest issue was when we got down to the grade we thought we were going to stop at, the soil was inadequate. Even at my modest 143.5 pounds, it was spongy underneath me. So we're going to have to go down another foot, causing additional dollars to dig it out and put stone, proper stone in there to have a better base for it. That initially was gonna cost $18,000. We did some negotiation and some brainstorming, and we've gotten it down to $14,000. Fortunately, it's 90% grantable, so our cost is $1,400, which still keeps it well within what the board authorized us to spend.
So how come Bernie Carr didn't find that information out before we even went that far? They're the engineering outfit on the plan, right?
They're the engineering outfit, and we did borings, and it wasn't caught on the borings.
So they did the borings. They looked at the borings. We aren't responsible for that part. So why aren't they picking up the cost?
We had a meeting with them regarding not only that issue, but another one that I'm gonna get to here in a minute. And we were quite blunt about our feelings about this situation, these situations. And I think maybe I would defer to Joan to let her indicate whether she thinks that they are on record or not.
I think they are, and I think we can talk about this, Mr. Chairman, a little bit further in executive session when we talk about what we negotiated with them.
Answer your question for now, Greg?
We shared your pain. Another issue was the gas lines going to both PSB and DSS. It turns out that the gas lines were not as deep as what they were indicated on the drawings, which that's not a fault of theirs in this case. So we need new trench lines and NYSEG wants new lines put in. So we're going to do that. That would come out of the field allowance, so there's no adjustment to the budget. And regarding the new lines put in by NYSEG, that will come out of the capital DSS and capital PSB. Regarding the electrical, we had requested that conduit be put in, extra conduit, in case there was a future need for surveillance cameras. And that extra conduit did not get in the drawings. So we got a change order for $5,000 to put the conduit in. We had issues with that because if it had been in the contract drawings, probably it would have been cheaper than as an extra. So we talked about it considerably. Jerry and Adam brought up maybe an alternative to it. And then further, Dick and Frank and Adam and the contractor did some value engineering. And now the change order would be $1,500. And that is all our cost, because that doesn't have anything to do with the green parking lot. But that would come out of the field directive, which doesn't affect the budget. It affects our feelings about the contract drawings, but it doesn't affect our budget at the moment. So I would ask for I would make a motion to approve the $1,500 change order to put the conduit in for future additional surveillance cameras if the Workplace Violence Committee recommended it. We feel like it's cheaper, better now to do it while the parking lot's all tore up than doing it later and tearing up a new parking lot. So I'd make that a motion.
Moved by Phil, second by Dick, discussion.
Phil,
There.
are you saying, Phil, that that includes the cost of the conduit, the $1,500?
After all the discussion, we're gonna only put conduit to 2 poles, and then we'll do another camera, if workplace violence wants it, we'll do another camera off of the generator shack by the radio tower. And Adam and Jerry and Dick all feel that will cover it adequately. So it cut it down considerably, obviously.
Greg?
So again, Phil, the engineers messed up again, correct?
Yes.
But they're not willing to cover this $1,500 cost change.
That's in discussion.
Yeah, but you're making a motion right now to cover it, the $1,500.
Yes, I am, yep. Because it's something we should do now.
Oh, I agree, absolutely, but if we're in negotiations, shouldn't we see if they're gonna cover it before we actually put it out where we're gonna pay for it?
Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, we've got a fairly small job up there and 2 contractors doing it. And if you start putting this in negotiation and backing it off, your charges in holdups are going to be a heck of a lot more than $1,500. So what we're proposing is to move ahead with the approval up to the $1,500. If the contractor covers some of that, then of course it won't be $1,500. But we don't know that amount right now. But I would not recommend holding up those 2 contractors.
Jerry, did you have a comment?
I agree with what Dick just said about holding up.
My only thought is that it would have cost us some amount of money, even if it were included in the drawings, and $1,500 sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Any other comments? Greg?
Yeah, it seems like it's just not a lot of money, but it just seems like now it's another screw up with the same engineering outfit. And I guess we have to look at them and say, you know, we're having problems with the way you're doing your job. So maybe maybe we ought to start looking at other engineering outfits too.
Any other comments on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Well, get ready for this one, Greg. The committee recommends that we retain BCNA to do the study to upgrade the existing water system at the PSP building. That this would come from budgeted funds. It would cost us $1,000 and it would be done in 4 weeks. We went out for bids on this. The next closest bid was $14,900 and it would take 9 weeks. So the committee recommends that we hire BCNA to do that study. And I would make that a motion.
Moved by Phil, second by Dick. Comments?
So, yes, I got
Go ahead, Greg.
I knew you couldn't.
So have we researched out more than just BCNA as the engineering outfit on that, you're saying? What, one other outfit or
4 total.
4 total, all within the area here?
Yes.
Okay.
Other comments? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
I think I'll stop now, Greg.
I think, yeah, but I still have an issue with that whole deal, because are they gonna come back after on this project and say, well, we missed something and charge us another $4,000, $5,000, $6,000? Hard to say, right?
Hard to say.
Because
We-
we're still ahead.
We feel like Dank and us gave them proper direction on what is required up there of the study. We feel like the direction is there. And actually, probably it would be a good idea for us to reiterate that, which we will do.
You done yet, Phil?
Oh, I'm way done.
Okay, good.
Good. Good.
Neil, social service officer agent.
I don't have anything on engineering, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of resolutions in my in the packet today. One with having another facility do foster care for us, and another one filling the director of social services since Jennifer became commissioner. There's an opening for her position as director, so there's a fill in the resolution. On OFA, I have a motion to authorize Office of the Aging Director Brenda Burgos to fill 2 Title V Aging Services aides who work up to 17 hours per week at minimum wage. The durational limit of 5 years is set by the New York State Office for Aging for these positions. 2 of the current aides are due to terminate and would be refilled on 7/27/2015 and 10/26/2015 respectively. So can I have a motion?
Okay, moved by Neil, second by Jerry. Comments on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I don't have anything at the present time on the Youth Bureau. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Neil. Brian has been excused. Move to Jerry, Courts and Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead and give you an update on the radio system. As of August 10th, E.F. Johnson will be in with 2 of their technicians. They will start going ahead and tweaking the system to get the most out of it. Excuse me, at times there's going to be some towers offline to get this taken care of. Then at that point in time, they'll be running some tests of their own after this initial setup. Aviat is in the process. They will finish this week of aligning their towers, getting all the information and data that they need to make sure they're up and running at the maximum performance. Electrical was completed last week, so all of our tower sites now do have power. They're working to put the antennas up in Osceola. So we're making pretty good progress. We're still pushing the end of August to do the coverage testing. Go from there. I also do have, from yesterday, we had a bid opening. There was only one bid. It was for $234,825, and it was from Kaplan Smith Electric Incorporated. We're still within budget. This still keeps us within budget. So I'm asking is to go ahead and make a motion to award this bid. This is our last section of contracts to finish up the system. That'll be for the 911 dispatch, what we did incur. Originally, we were talking about building a new building. Dispatch was supposed to go in there. Essentially, we didn't build a new building when we also found out additional costs, so we tried to leave them in dispatch area. And some of this cost is to do the controls for the jail doors that we hadn't planned on doing before. So about $150,000, which I think that's high. It's kind of a contingency because the gentleman did not get that part of the switching relays and all the stuff back in as far as an estimate. So I'm positive it's going to come in under this 234. So I'm making that a motion.
Okay, moved by Jerry, second by Andrea. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have. I have a couple of resolutions in the packet. Appreciate support.
Very good, Jerry. Larry, economic development.
Thank you. There's a lot We have a lot going on, so I'm just going to pick some highlights. And if there is a topic that you'd like to discuss, let me know, and we'll address it if I haven't already done so. From the Director of Planning, they continue to work on maple product, maple supply, marketing, and a bottling plant. That's ongoing. Soil and Water, they have completed the installation of the stream gauge system. It's anticipated that units will be programmed within the next few weeks by Soil and Water. Advanced Education Program is an ongoing process with MDCC. Solar Energy, Phil brought that up. The Community Outreach Program, continue to work with towns in southern Lewis County, towns and villages. From the Public Transportation Planner, Channel 7 advertising is on the air. I think everyone here got a link to the first commercial that went out. We, with the transportation going to Old Forge, we, starting June 27th, the overall trip was split into 2 bus routes, the North Central, Grogan, Alva, Glenfield, Lyons Falls, and the South County Oneida route, which includes Port Lyon, Boonville, and Woodgate. They're using 2 buses from the June 27th through July 26th. And the highest demand day was 43 passengers for the northern route, and for the southern route it was 88 passengers. They've also added an additional bus stop at Frankie's Italian Restaurant in Vendera based on rider requests. They've attempted to register passengers using the Old Forge route. There are 77 registered users, and I'm sure there are more passengers who regularly ride that haven't registered. Transit advertising, we're looking into advertising on our 2 locally owned buses, and that's an ongoing process. That. Economic development, we're continuing to meet with property owners, trying to acquire some land for the Commerce Park. We are working on an incubator building and are putting in a CFA for that. The IDA board approved a $50,000 loan in July from the microloan fund. They are considering staffing needs and possibly hiring another person there to assist in the economic development activity that's going on. Cash flow for the Lyons Falls Mill, there were 2 grants, the $330,000 and then the $1 million that was split into 2 $500,000s. We have received the first $330,000. That's gone on to date to cover the line of credit that we have with them. Hopefully the first 500 of the $1 million will be coming along shortly. And barring any questions, that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for Larry? You're off the hook, Larry. Greg, Transportation, Solid Waste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to announce that the Highway Department did in fact complete 16 more miles of road as they indicated last month due to the savings on oil pricing. In addition to that, they anticipate they might be able to do another 3 on top of that. I'm also pleased to announce that all the flags, as of hopefully without any unusual circumstances, will be off all bridges by 4 o'clock today. The last one is the diaphragm on the Whitesville Bridge, which they anticipate completing today. They're well within their budget constraints, and I think that has something to do with the oil pricing, but mostly due to the work ethic of the men and the leadership in the highway department. I think they need to be commended for an outstanding job this year. I have nothing further to report. Thank you.
Very good, Greg. Greg, taxation, elections, IT.
I'll try to keep it short. Adam brought in some gentlemen from the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe, the broadband department. It was Jeff Beekahoo and Dave Wolf. He's the telecom manager at Dank. What they're looking at is the St. Regis group has brought broadband, wireless broadband into the reservation up there and are serving all their households up there. And they say they can get 100, is that how you do it? 100 gigabytes, Adam?
100 megabytes.
Megabytes, okay. So they're looking at using, trying to utilize one of our towers. Actually, it's not one of our towers, it's WWNY's tower, isn't it, Adam? Or is one of
That's
ours?
one proposed site, and then the PSV tower location.
Okay, to try to do the same thing for the Copenhagen area for the school system to see it's just a trial. This is not going to affect anything to do with one of our towers other than their usage of it. And it probably won't be until after, I'm sure it won't be until after this initial startup. But they want to see if they can utilize that. There's a lot of grant money out there from the governor who wants to bring the last mile, is what they call it, the last mile for broadband, where Time Warner and those other people won't go that way because the residents are so far apart. So that was quite interesting. I think we're setting up isn't it, Adam, we're setting up an agreement with them. Joan is involved.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. We want to make sure that the radio testing is complete first, and then we'll move forward with some type of an agreement with them.
Okay, thanks, Adam. And let's see. That's it, and then Linda. Linda's still vigorously working on the 911 addresses. I think it's going to take a while. They're still sorting out the problems with the private roads. She's attending the board meetings, some town board meetings to get that worked out. She's been at Town of Leiden, Town of Grogan, and Town of Osceola. So, she is, and of course Lake Bonaparte and South Maple, and she's having some problems, as far as private roads. She has a new temporary employee through employment and training. Summer youth employee is Cassandra Gudeman. And she's working out very well and she's considered a hard-working employee. And that's it for my report. Oh, no, actually, should I do this now, Terry, or what?
Yes,
do it
please.
now? I've got a motion for Brian, and it's actually veterans, to authorize Chairman Table to forward a letter to Governor Cuomo urging his signature on the Veterans Equality Act. Legislation memorializes the state funding of enhanced veterans pension benefits for eligible state, county, police, and school employees. Veterans may buy pension credits for up to 3 years of service in defense of our country. The bill was unanimously adopted by the state Senate by 138 to 1 state assembly vote. That's my motion to put forward.
Moved by Greg, second by Craig. Discussion. And I understand, Greg, that this is something that was brought up last year. However, this year the state has agreed to pay for the full cost of the extra cost for the.
I believe so. I believe that's it.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just comment on that. We did pass a resolution last year in opposition solely because it was funding that was going to fall back onto the county once again, and that was our only objection to that. So now that they've removed that, I think it's more in keeping of what we discussed beforehand.
Good. Other comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it, Barry?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Dick, hospital.
Thank you, Chairman. First up is the Employee of the Month for June. It's Donna Honer. She's an LPN who's worked at the hospital over 30 years and currently is in the East Wing. However, she will be retiring beginning in August. Donna is a caring, wonderful nurse and person. She always has a smile on her face and sees the positive in the things people do and her job. She never complains. She's been a great team player, always willing to help a coworker even when she is extremely busy. She will be deeply missed when she retires. Congratulations to Donna for being the Employee of the Month. And I would ask any of you that know her to, if you see her, to congratulate her both on the Employee of the Month and on her years of service for the hospital and her retirement. The update from the last hospital meeting, Dr. Swift from Orthopedics has already performed 15 surgeries. Dr. Domingo, OBGYN, will be retiring effective August 31st, 2015. There's a gala for the hospital Foundation Association in September. I believe it's the 12th, a Saturday night. I would encourage all that can attend to attend, because this is also the retirement party for Josie, who's been a great person and actually delivered my children. Dr. Din resigned August 6th, 2015. Jean Draja, the QA coordinator, retired July 16th, 2015. We did not hire a replacement for her. Her duties were divided amongst two current employees. The durable medical equipment, DME storefront, is up and running in the basement. According to Michelle Prince, there's a new radiology equipment that you heard about last month. It will be here soon, ready to go for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. She added that the new equipment will help generate revenue for the facility. The providers from here, Carthage, and Watertown will be receiving information regarding the new equipment in order for them to refer patients here for testing. Under the financial, Mr. Hellinger reported there was a gain of $16,073 versus a budgeted gain of $25,793. The year-to-date surplus was $545,258 versus a budgeted surplus of $454,569. There were a total of 1,001 ER visits for the month of June. That's above the current month budget, and the ER seems to be about 8% over budget for the year. Again, we only experienced 5 patients left without being seen for the month of June, and that's lower than the budget of 20. We believe that's because the ER is meeting the expectations of the customers that are going there for service. CHA continues to be over their respective budget, and you'll see a resolution later on for a card to be put into the civil service system to hire one more person to help out with that overload in the job. Dr. Huber, the OBGYN provider, saw 135 people in May and 160 in June, and practice seems to be doing well. Dr. Leuenberger is a family practice physician. He'll be joining the South Louis Clinic in August, and maintenance is currently getting his exam room ready for him. There will be a meet and greet for him in the John C. Herman MD conference room on August 11th. The medical staff had their elections of officers in June, and the positions took effect July 1st. They include Dr. Lynn Pisanella, MD, President, Dr. Cherie Palmer, Vice President, Dr. Cynthia Fraser, Secretary Treasurer. Barring any questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions for Dick? Thank you, Dick. Andrea, Public Health, Community Service.
Okay, I'll start with Community Services Board. There is one docket for this meeting today, and the board will interview tomorrow for the position of director. In Public Health, there are 3 dockets for this meeting. One employee has resigned at the end of June, and that position will not be filled. Paula reported they are on target, if not a little ahead of budget so far. Number of children in need of preschool services is about 10 to 15 less compared to last year. Also effective July 1st, a change with the way the special education teacher services are paid. Previous to July 1st, the provider will get paid whether the services were delivered or not, based on a tuition rate. Now they have to deliver the services in order to receive payment. This should result in some savings for the county. The emergency preparedness drill held on June 24th was a success. Over 150 people per hour were dispensed more medications. And again, thanks to everyone who helped. The local initiative for multi-sector public health action request for application. St. Lawrence County Health Initiative is applying on behalf of the Tri-County area, and they would like Lewis County Public Health to be a subcontractor. This would allow public health to recoup some costs for current employee who will help with the grant process. Public health will be involved whether it is a subcontractor or not, as it will assist us to look at capacity and sustainability of the chronic disease prevention programs, and Penny will send a letter of support. Eric Birch discussed distrib and how to come up with a funds distributed method. They are being pressured to get the funds distributed, but they are looking to find a logical way to make sure everyone gets a portion. Okay, you all were handed today a notice on oral rabies vaccination areas. A wildlife oral rabies vaccination aerial drop is scheduled for the week of August 11th to the 18th in the Black River Valley area at no cost to the county. This event will help head off the spread of rabies in raccoons and other wild animals. Public health will be letting the public know what is going on, as there may be questions or concerns. 89,000 baits will be dropped in Lewis County. Please do not remove or destroy the bait packets. And now I would like to ask Penny to give us an update.
Good morning. We handed out this morning the poster that's going to be distributed around the county, as well as the press release that went out on Friday to our press outlets for distribution. Our role, public health's role in the oral bait drop, is to inform our public about the bait drop happening, so that we don't have people calling everybody going, what's falling from the sky and why are those planes flying so low? So that's our role in this. This is a joint effort of the New York State Department of Health, USDA, and Wildlife Services. Preventing rabies in raccoons is our first line of defense in preventing rabies issues in our county and in the whole northeast part of the country. This is a much broader campaign than just northern New York. This involves several states that USDA Wildlife Services will be impacting. Preventing rabies in raccoons, buffers the effect of rabies being spread to pets and livestock and humans, because most of us get rabies from our pets. Or become exposed. Hopefully nobody gets rabies. So that's the program at this point in time. We're very excited about this opportunity. This is happening in Lewis County due to Senators Ritchie and Griffo having secured dedicated state funds for the bait drop for the Black River Valley in Lewis County. Otherwise, we would not have been included. But they're very concerned. USDA is concerned, and Senators Ritchie and Griffo are very concerned about the vulnerable what they call the vulnerable wildlife corridor that is the Black River Valley, which moves rabies north. So, we're glad to have it back. We have been involved in rabies bait drops in the past over the years. when there were other funds available through the counties, through Canada, through both the state and federal government, but of course, funds have diminished and resources have not been available to make that happen. So nothing has been baited the last few years outside of the, what I call the most critical zones, and also they have been doing an experimental bait drop with a different bait than what they'll be using here, which they can only use in their trials, their limited areas. But hopefully within the next few years that will be approved for wider distribution. It's a much more effective bait, so we look forward to possibly being able to have that happen here in Lewis County as well. So I hope you don't receive too many calls, but if you do, hopefully you'll have enough information there. Refer people to us at Public Health. We'll help to answer their questions as well regarding the baits. Biggest thing is just let them be where they are. Unless they're landing on your driveway or road and you see them, then move them with protection to your hands into more of a wildlife area, into a ditch or into the woods or wherever a raccoon might be. So, can I answer any questions for you?
Just out of curiosity, do we know, and I haven't had an opportunity to read the brochure yet, do we know the effectiveness of the bait program historically?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know that they've done the science behind it to know that it is effective. And we know that, well, actually I do know this. I don't know the percent, but what it does do is it drops the load, the rabies load in the raccoon population where baits have been done. So then USDA does, through their wildlife program, captures raccoons and foxes, coyotes, whatever, in areas where they know the load is high, and they track and measure what post-bait drop, what the load level is versus before. And in all cases, the load levels have come down. So it's just common sense, if there's less rabies in our wildlife, there'll be less exposures to our pets and livestock, less exposures to humans. And that's where the county saves money, because the less people we have to treat, it's a very large cost every time we have to treat someone if they don't have insurance. So.
Penny, you've got somebody that has a question.
Yeah.
Larry?
Yeah.
Penny, I'm just curious on this subject. Do you feel that it supports an artificial population of predators by immunizing the population itself?
You mean in terms that we wouldn't have a natural occurring group of wild predators that would die off each year?
Right.
No, because I think there are other natural causes for predators to die off outside of rabies. And I don't think rabies is the way to go, to keep that. It's just too deadly and it's too dangerous. And from a public health perspective, my first role is the health of people. So that's how I'm going to look at it.
Go ahead, Neil.
I just have a question, and basically it would be for Michelle. Knowing that rabies affects the livestock, does Cornell Cooperative Extension have any, how can I say it, any, well, now I lost my train of thought, but does Cornell Cooperative have any type of apprehension on doing this for the livestock, or do you see only a benefit for doing it?
We see this as a benefit because what happens is the raccoons get into the barns, and so you cannot actually vaccinate all of your cows. It's not feasible to do that. So if you have the raccoons are being controlled this way, then you don't have to worry about raccoons getting into your barns and then affecting cows. And we have had an incident of a cow getting rabies in this county, and then it will affect, then we had individuals who had to have shots. So, particularly like in our barn, we vaccinate all our cats. We have a few barn cats and we vaccinate all of them because they go into places where raccoons would be. They're nocturnal animals, and we can't vaccinate all our beef cows. So it's certainly something that we feel this is a good program to have. Because it's unreasonable to vaccinate all dairy cows or all beef cows or any other kinds of livestock. It's just not feasible for farmers to do that.
And the other wildlife that we come into contact, pets and livestock, are skunks. So, and skunks get raccoon rabies from raccoons. So skunk rabies, which resides in the skunk, is not an issue in northeastern part of the country. That's a Midwest vector for rabies. Here in the Northeast, it's the raccoons who are the primary carrier. And then they spread it to other wildlife, including skunks. So as you know, you see skunks everywhere. So it's called a buffer. That's the whole idea, is to buffer the rest of wildlife, livestock, humans, pets.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Penny. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Andrea. Now we'll go back around again. Larry had an issue we forgot for health insurance.
I just wanted to make note of the fact that we have an issue with our health insurance program. If the trend continues, we're going to lose, that fund will lose $700,000 this year. The reserve is becoming drastically low. We have been holding meetings to figure out a way to address this problem, including we've had included the hospital under discussions on how we can solve the issue with the minimum impact to the county and all the employees. So those discussions continue, but I just wanted to make note of it so that it didn't come to a shock to anybody that we are going to have to do something with that program.
Thank you, Larry. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to the county manager report. Liz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In Brian's absence, I just wanted to also note that the HR committee got a briefing from Jim Swords. We've had a committee of department heads working for about 5 or 6 months on a new performance evaluation system for all county employees. That process of building a new evaluation is now complete. We took probably, I would say, 7 or 8 different performance evaluations that different departments had and have consolidated it into one form. There will be one for frontline employees and then an additional one for people who exist in a supervisory capacity. Jim, if he hasn't already, will be handing out copies to all of the legislators for your review and comment if you have any. Jim will now be working on a training program and procedures for a rollout of that new performance evaluation system. Second item, on last Friday, all the CFA process for New York State was completed. I will be putting together a list for all the legislators of what CFAs were submitted in our county, and I'll put that in your box this week. Third, we've scheduled our IFM replacement vendor demonstrations for September 9th and 10th and September 22nd and 23rd. The emphasis will be with our fiscal managers throughout the organization, who will be engaging in a 2-day on-site review of the products that we're looking at. Let's see, number 4, we're starting the process a little bit earlier this year of the 2016 budget. Patty and I are meeting with the Ways and Means Committee this Friday to outline process and procedure. We're probably going to do things a little bit differently this year, but if any of the legislators would like to weigh in or sooner rather than later, that's fine. Once the Ways and Means Committee meets, we'll update the entire legislative board on what the process is going to look like, and obviously the department heads as well. Just a note, I think everybody's aware that the tax cap this year is going to be minuscule. Our salary increases alone will exceed the tax cap. That doesn't include issues we may have with health insurance, additional operating costs that we have for the 911 system. So we can anticipate that this is going to be a very difficult year where we're going to have to make some choices about all kinds of things. So just to get everybody's head started to think in that direction. Last thing I want to mention is that Mick Lehman did resign from the IDA board. I'll be talking with the Economic Development Committee about interviewing replacement candidates, and we'll be getting back to the full board with a recommendation. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good, Liz. Patty, Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The special legislative contingency balance is $92,859. The contingency balance is $292,210. Capital data processing, capital has $141,721. Capital equipment has, for the county, $251,639, and for the highway, $40,124. I just wanted to mention that $4,500 was put back in there from auction proceeds. Sales tax, again, is below last year's, but we're okay for budget purposes. Hospital is current on all of their payments. Their balance is $4.1 million. Internal service cash as of today is $2.3 million. The fund balance as of June 30th is $1.749 million. And that's all, if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Patty? Thank you, Patty. And, I'd just like to acknowledge some of the representation we had recently with meetings with state officials. Our comptroller was at the wind farm here a couple of weeks ago, and I understand Jerry, Dick, Joan, and Mary attended and got a chance to talk with Tom Denably. While that was going on, I was up to Messina attending the Governor's Bassmaster Challenge. Had a chance to visit with the Lieutenant Governor. Yesterday, our Senator Gillibrand was nearby in Watertown, and I guess Larry, you had a visit with her, and Liz, Eric, Dick, and Craig, I believe, attended.
I had a funeral, I had to cancel.
Okay, well, but we did have good representation, so I think that's what counts. Appreciate that. Move along. We have our report of the Ways and Means Committee for Rule 7, Terry.
The Ways and Means Committee reports they've examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $1,846,019.48 and recommend that they be audited and allow for the amounts claimed.
Moved by Larry, second by Craig. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The first resolution then is auditing and allowing the claims for $1,846,19.48.
Moved by Larry, second by Jerry. Roll call, Terry.
Brennan,
Yes.
Chartrand,
Yes.
Dahlhoff,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Causer,
Yes.
Mowerhand,
Yes.
Pepper,
Yes.
Tabo.
Yes.
Amending compensation plan with reference to building maintenance department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Neil. Discussion?
This is a replacement for a person that's retiring, but Frank has reconfigured it, so he'll have the same FTEs, but it'll be at $3 less an hour.
Other comments? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate and transfer funds, buildings and grounds.
Moved by Phil, second by Neil. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to community services department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution opposing the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers expanded definition of waters of the U.S. under the Clean Water Act and supporting the United States House of Representatives Bill number HR 1732.
Moved by Phil, second by Larry. Discussion. Just to summarize this, this House has passed this. The Senate needs to vote on it. And I don't know how that'll go, but it has to match the House version. If nothing else is done, this new EPA rule would automatically go into effect August 28th. So we're hoping that there's some positive action with the House. I know when it did pass the House, our own Police Stefanik was very vocal and helped it pass. You know, it would take away funding unless they make changes, unless the EPA withdraws from their request to take control. But also, I'd like to acknowledge all the work that Joan put into helping do this resolution. Thank you, Joan.
And I would just notice that, and I'm making a formal apology to Elise Stefanik, in section 5 of the resolution that was in the packet. I know Terry has amended the one that will go out, but I referenced U.S. Assemblywoman Elise Stefanik, and it should say U.S. Congresswoman.
Thank you, Joan. Other comments on the resolution? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appropriate funds, Transportation Department.
Moved by Craig, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Transfer funds, contingency to junkyards.
Moved by Neil, second by Phil. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement between Lewis County Public Health Agency and New York State Department of Health for Cancer Screening Program.
Moved by Andrea, second by Neil. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement between Lewis County Public Health and New York State Department of Health Bureau of Early Intervention.
Moved by Andrea, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Public Health.
Moved by Andrea, second by Neil. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement between Department of Social Services and Berkshire Farm Center and Services for Youth.
Moved by Larry, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
To amend compensation plan with reference to Social Services Department.
Moved by Neil, second by Larry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing member to Youth Bureau Advisory Board.
Moved by Andrea, second by Neil. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
One late resolution is amending compensation plan with reference to Lewis County General Hospital.
Moved by Dick, second by Jerry. Discussion. Phil?
Dick, could you help me to understand this? I didn't quite get what you were telling me earlier about it. Are we creating this position? Is this going to be somebody new hired up at the hospital?
This is creating a card in the civil service system for one full-time registered nurse position in CHA, the home health care. We don't have a card there right now. That's the agency that's 8 to 10% ahead of business last year.
Right.
So this will, in effect, create a card that we can hire a person to put into CHA. As most of us know, the civil service doesn't allow us to predetermine where we're going to select our employee out of. It could be someone from within the workforce that applies for it. It could be someone from without the workforce. What we've asked at the hospital is, once the selection, this creates the card, then we'll advertise, then make a selection. Once the selection is made, if it's an in-house employee, we will look at the backfill to the in-house employee.
We'll look at if it's an in-house employee, you'll look to see whether you
Board of
want to
Managers will
replace
look at
that
the
in-house
backfill,
employee.
refill of that, right. But without a card, you can't put anybody in the job. And right now, we're turning people away that really need home health care. I'm getting calls from constituents all the time, is why can't we get my parent, grandparent, uncle, aunt seen? So that, this is trying to alleviate that.
Jerry?
So I guess the first preference is if we can hire within house, we're going, not go out and get a brand new person.
I'm not sure we can publicly say that, Jerry, with the civil service system, because we'll hire the most qualified person on the list. One might suspect that an in-house candidate would be the most qualified, but you can't equivocally say that today.
Okay, thank you.
No, Dick, I was under the understanding that you said it was gonna come back in front of us. If there was an in-house candidate picked, whether there'd be a need to refill that position if it was an in-house candidate, and that would come back in front of us.
No, the process is it will come back in front of the Board of Managers. That's been the process for years now. They will take a look at it.
Other questions on the resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That concludes resolutions.
Other business. Have a request for executive session to discuss labor negotiation and litigation matters. Have a motion moved by Larry, second by Neil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in executive session. Yeah.